Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another S.H.Figuarts Bandai Tamashii Nations 1/12 scale figure unboxing and review video. Yes, today we're going to be taking a look at none other than the brand new Avengers Endgame Iron Man Mark 85, this being the I Am Iron Man edition. Of course, it just makes sense that it's called that. It's the battle damage version of Tony Stark in the Mark 85 suit of armor, doing the iconic Endgame snap. Now, this guy looks like a pretty darn good deluxe release. I cannot wait to get this box open. Now, if you are looking to pick up your very own Mark 85 I Am Iron Man edition, he is up for order right now with toyswonderland.com. Link for that is, of course, in the description below. While you are down there, why not hit that subscribe and bell notification icon so you're notified as soon as brand new content goes live on the channel. Also check out the join button for Justin's Collection Plus to get early access to some videos as well as a 5% off code for toyswonderland.com. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. And here of course we have the box art for the Mark 85 I Am Iron Man edition. They've needed to make that distinction because Figuarts, or Bandai Tamashii Nations, have made 3 Mark 85s now, this of course being the third, first of which was just a regular clean version, then a battle damaged one. Now they've of course done the iconic snap pose. The box art, I really like it. It's straightforward, figure on the front, an image of the figure on the side there, and wrapping around, as well as on the back, you can see the nice diorama style display base. I wouldn't be surprised if that was made out of something relatively sturdy, because that box does feel surprisingly heavy for a 1/12 scale release. Now, I've slowly but surely been building out my 1/12 scale Marvel collection. I started with, of course, Loki, and now here we have the Mark 85. Fingers crossed I can keep this going, because so far, I've rather enjoyed collecting these Figuarts releases. Now, of course, you can see he does come with a bunch of stuff in the box, so what we are going to do now is get everything in here laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. And here we have all of the bits and pieces that come with Iron Man Mark 85. And as you can see, honestly, there's not a hell of a lot of stuff here. I do believe most of the budget went into this display base, and I have to say, it looks really good, and it also feels surprisingly heavy and surprisingly sturdy. I love the way it's painted, and I really do like the sculpt, if not for one minor complaint. The sculpt is rather soft. You can see that all of the edges are really nice and smooth, even up the back here. It's not as sharp and as sort of aggressive as a battle-damaged battlefield would look, in my personal opinion. But for a backdrop-style diorama piece, this is still a really nice piece to have. Now, in terms of swap-out pieces, he does come with a separate Iron Man helmet. You'll see this on the figure a little bit later in the video, but I really like the way it looks. It's also very nicely weathered, and I do like the fact that the eyes do look like they're lit up, even though there's no lights in the helmet. Now, you do get 2 of these blasters, the crab claw ones. I like the way they're painted as well, and yes, they are weathered throughout. Nice silver, blue, and also gold paintwork. These things look fantastic. You can also see some metallic blue on the inside there. Now, he does come with 3 interchangeable hands, but you'll notice something. On the figure himself, he comes wearing the Gauntlet style hand. Then for the right side, he only comes with 2 other Gauntlet style hands. One with the effect, which, might I add, looks really good, and I love the way it's painted. And this one, of course, doing the iconic snap. But you'll notice something's missing. He only comes with 1 regular fist for the left side. That means that no matter how you're going to display your Tony, you're kind of stuck with the Gauntlet unless you're using one of the crab claw blasters. That's a little bit unfortunate. I would have liked the fact that you could just swap out the hand with a regular Mark 85 hand and just have a battle damaged Tony wearing the suit, but unfortunately they didn't do that. They didn't really want to cannibalize the sales of their other Mark 85s, I'm sure, and that's why they did it. But nevertheless, those are all the bits and pieces that he does come with. You will see them on the figure throughout the course of this video. What we are going to do now is get the Mark 85 back out here and take a closer look. And here we have him standing straight up and down the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And I have to say, from a distance, tell me, does this not look like Mark 85 Iron Man to you? Does that head sculpt not look like RDJ, Tony Stark? For me personally, I think it really does. I think the paint apps are impressive, I think the sculpt is incredible. For a smaller scale, this is kind of the best you're going to get, and for that I'm pretty darn thankful that I decided to pick up the Figuarts release, because the Marvel Legends one, in my opinion, leaves a little bit to be desired. This, for me personally, in 1/12 scale, is going to be my Mark 85 on the shelf, and I have to say, I'm loving the way he looks. What we are going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have him up close and personal, and honestly, I have to say, first impressions, I really like him. Up close, the detail does hold up. Now, yes, I do have to preface this by saying, I know that head sculpt is nowhere near the quality of a 1/6 scale Hot Toys piece, but you can't kind of expect it to be either. This is a 1/12 scale figure, the price point is a lot lower, therefore the quality expectations should drop as well. It's quite hard to get that level of paint finish on a teeny tiny little head sculpt such as this, so the face printing tech works wonders in my opinion. You can tell who that's supposed to be, it's RDJ, the printing looks fantastic. Yes, it does come across a little bit pixely up close and personal, but at a distance you can definitely tell who that's supposed to be. What I don't necessarily love though is the mismatch between the skin tone on the neck and the face. You can really easily tell, even from a distance, the neck doesn't even match at all. I don't know why that's the case. They could have put an additional wash over it to knock down the color a few shades so it matches the face. That, in my opinion, is a little bit goofy. Now let's talk about the sculpt on the armor. This thing is glorious. It's the Mark 85, my personal favorite MCU suit, and it's all battle damaged up. There are so many sculpted in scratches and cracks, and you can even see exposed bits of metal underneath. It looks beautiful, and of course moving down to the hand, you can see the Infinity Gauntlet, or the Infinity Stones, sculpted in to Tony's arm there. Now yes, you do have those interchangeable sections which you just saw in the previous accessories clip, but unfortunately on mine, this arm is really loose, and when you plug it in, there is a significant gap. No, it can't go on any further, I've tried, trust me I have, it's just the way it is. And again, unfortunately, like I called out in the accessory segment, there's no way of just having a regular Mark 85 wrist, or hand I should say, on the figure. You do have to opt for something like this, which is of course the blaster instead. That way you don't have that Infinity style gauntlet on the hand, you have this instead, but as you can see, that arm is just incredibly loose. Fingers crossed on your copy, it's a non-issue. Now of course, let's talk about the paintwork. The entire thing is painted to the nines, and then on top of that, there is a weathering pass. You can see it, it's apparent, it's everywhere. He's dirty and grimy and nasty, and I love the way it looks. Although, on this midriff section, for some reason, it doesn't match this section. This is far and away a lot dirtier, versus this, it's just really clean. I know it's a bit of a nitpick, and maybe they did it so you don't scuff the paint up when you're articulating him, but for me, I just don't know. It kind of comes across a little bit disjointed. But the rest of him looks marvelous. You can see even down to the legs, they're filthy and dirty and grimy. It's a really good look. Now, of course, you can actually take off the head sculpt and swap on the Mark 85 helmeted head sculpt. Do I know as of yet whether or not I'll be going with this versus the Tony one? No, not as of yet, but I have to say that head sculpt looks remarkable. It's the Mark 85 through and through, the sculpt is on point, and it is nicely weathered to match the rest of the figure. Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect when I was going to be picking up the Figuarts Mark 85, the sort of end battle snap version, we'll call it. But now, having it in hand, I'm honestly really glad I picked him up. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have the Mark 85 standing alongside the Black Series Durasteel version of Mando, and I have to say, it's a pretty decent size. You can see Tony Stark is slightly taller than the Black Series Mando. I don't quite know how it's going to scale with Marvel Legends, but then again, the Durasteel Mando is kind of a Marvel Legends Star Wars figure anyway. It's made by Hasbro, I would assume at least. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below, so hopefully this gives you a rough idea of the scale next to a couple of your Hasbro releases. Usually, the import figures such as Figuarts releases are smaller, but in this instance, I think it's going to work quite well. Next up, here we have the Mark 85 standing alongside the Mark 7, my only other Figuarts Iron Man release. so far, and I have to say this looks really good. The Mark 85 though is slightly too tall in my personal opinion. I don't know why he's as tall as he is. I think the Mark 7 is about right for Robert Downey Jr. In the suit, he doesn't really get that much taller. It's kind of just an overlay, especially in the Mark 85. It's nanotech, so it would kind of stand to reason that he doesn't get that much taller. But still, I'm sure you can pose it away. Most people are going to have him kneeling down doing the snap anyway, and that's definitely how I'm going to have mine. So for me personally, the scaling's not a huge issue. Just going over articulation on the Mark 85. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now, starting off with the head itself, it is on a double ball joint, one in the head, then one in the neck, but honestly, that doesn't really afford you a huge range of motion going forward, but going back is rather significant. Swivel and pivot side to side. The arms themselves go up to about there, completely unhindered by this big honkin' shoulder pad. You do of course have a butterfly joint that is a ball joint going all the way around. Swivel at the upper bicep, double bend there at the elbow, and a traditional Figuarts style joint for the wrist itself. Now for the torso, you do have a significant range of motion in terms of swiveling and pivoting, but forward and back not so much until you start to incorporate the lower joint as well, and it does go a significant range forward. You can of course separate it ever so slightly to get even more range of motion. Don't forget, if you do have him in a neutral stance, to push this back down. The legs themselves go out to about there, but I do believe you can pull them down just a little bit to get them to go up even higher. It looks a little bit disjointed. For me, honestly, I'm probably going to leave mine pushed all the way up. Swivel at the upper thigh, a double bend there for the knee, and of course a regular Figuarts style Iron Man hinge for the foot itself. Plus, you do have a teeny tiny die-cast toe articulation point. Just wrapping up on the Figuarts Mark 85 I Am Iron Man edition. Now I know I probably should have started off by taking a look at the clean one first, then the battle damage one, and worked my way up to this release. I've kind of jumped the queue a little bit. But still, I don't mind that one bit. I really like this figure. I love the diorama display base. Yes, the detail is a little bit soft, but I've forgotten that. I've long since forgotten that ever since I posed him on it. I think it looks really good. Looks just like the scene in the movie. I love the detail. I love the paint apps. Yes, it's a little bit frustrating. He doesn't come with a normal forearm and a normal hand, so you don't have to have the gauntlet or the stones on all the time, but the detail is there. I love the blue finish in the cracks and crevices on the forearm. It makes him look like he's all lit up and he's about to kick some butt with that infinity snap. I'm loving the way this looks. Now, as I said in the intro, I picked up mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. I do believe he's in stock now. They do have 12-month installment plans if you're a fan of paying off your figures over time. Also, while you are down there, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.